Let's talk now about how to migrate an existing old traditional network into an SD access network. Cisco talks about three migration strategies: parallel, incremental, and hybrid. With a parallel approach, you will be actually creating a brand new SD access network and pretty much forgetting about all your old configurations and settings. With incremental and hybrid, you are going to have a new SD access network, but it will carry some old design issues. So, in some sense, the recommended approach will be parallel because you will be uh, actually having a brand new SD access network that is not carrying bad design choices from your old network, but the disadvantage is that it is a bit more costly to set up. So let's talk about each one of them in detail. Let's go first with the parallel approach. With the parallel approach, you are going to build an SD access network next to your existing network. Remember that the existing network is known as brownfield, and the new network is the greenfield network. So in this case, you are going to duplicate the roles of every single switch. You are going to have to use more rack space, more power, more cabling infrastructure, and the advantage of doing a parallel migration is that you're going to just to move cables from the old devices into the new devices. This makes the rollback extremely simple, because if you want to roll back your overnight migration, you will only need to move cables back from the new device into the old device. So let's take this, for example, this traditional network. We have here distribution and core devices living, for instance, in an MDF. So we are in an MDF. Probably this device lives in one rack, and this device lives in another rack, and then these access switches, each one is living in a different IDF or wiring closet. So what we're going to do with a parallel migration is that we're going to install new equipment, for instance, in the same rack. So we will need rack space in order to install my border nodes that are existing parallel to these distribution and core devices. So I will need rack space in order for this to work. So this is what is going to happen at the MDF. And at every single IDF, I'm going to install in the same rack. So I need rack space also here at the IDF, a device that will be my edge node, that is going to take over the devices that are connected to my access switch. And I'm going to do that at every single IDF. So I will need rack space at every single IDF in order to install my new device that is going to live in the same rack probably as the old device lives. So the migration is quite easy. So notice that in one migration we can just move patching cables from the access switch into the edge node, and these cables will go now into the border nodes. So these links become layer 3 links, and before moving them they were layer 2 links because they will land into an access switch, and they now land into an edge node. So I can migrate services like that every single night or in different maintenance windows, I can only move, I should only move cables. But if something goes wrong and I have to do rollback, the only thing that I have to do is moving cables back into the old devices. So notice migration is easy and rollback is easy, but in this case, we need rack space, we need more power, we need to duplicate every single device, and we are going to spend more money. So the other approach is doing the incremental migration. In this strategy, we're going to move a traditional switch from the brownfield network and convert it. So the key word here is conversion. So with this approach, we are not really going to install too many new devices, but we are going to convert these devices. For instance, these access switches, we are going to convert them into edge nodes. In order for this to happen, this strategy is appropriate for networks that have equipment capable of supporting SD access. So for instance, if you have this access switch, which happens to be a 9300 Catalyst series, yes, you can turn it into an edge node overnight. But if you had an old switch that is not capable of becoming an edge node, you couldn't run an incremental migration. So the migration will consist on turning this device and making it an edge node. And this link will no longer be a layer 2 link, but it will become a layer 3 link now, overnight. So the migration will happen this way, and that will be the incremental approach. Now we can go for the hybrid approach. In this case, hybrid is a combination of parallel and incremental approaches. So for example, as the documentation states, we will need a new pair of devices configured as border nodes. So we are going to add a new pair of devices. In this case, these border nodes are installed in parallel. And we are going to migrate these devices incrementally. So that is why we're going to call this migration approach as hybrid. So we are going to turn this device from being an access switch into an edge node. We are going to turn this link from being a layer 2 link into a layer 3 link. And we are going to keep these border nodes working in parallel. So that will be the hybrid approach. That's it.